Hello and welcome to Fin Business. We're at Cybos and I'm in conversation with Eileen from IBM. She operates from New York. Eileen, welcome on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So pleasure to know that you are an expert in blockchain. IBM is running a blockchain garage. I would like to understand what kind of products and services comes out of blockchain garage of IBM.
Great question. So the blockchain garage is really about helping our clients get started on their blockchain journey, but not just from an individual standpoint, really bringing many entities together to help solve real business problems. And so what we do a lot in the garage is we have what we call a discovery workshop, help you discover not just the technology, but really what are your business challenges and how might blockchain help solve those business challenges. Progressing into let's actually design and scope what a solution might look like, and then let's get building quickly. Very agile development to help solve those business problems quickly, which we know are a multi-year journey, but we want to get started quickly.
So if you could tell me specifically how successful these products and services are, how long have you been building these products and services, and what is the result?
Sure. So the cloud garage, which is where we sit, has been around for 5 years. Blockchain itself has been around for about 3 years from a garage standpoint. And we have been obviously done a number of initial projects to start when the technology was in its infancy. And now we've started to progress a lot of those projects into production, not just from a system standpoint, but also in bringing together those different entities. So in Thailand specifically, we have what K-Bank started and is now called BCI, which brings together several different banks focusing on letters of guarantee.
So, most of the banks, are unable to still, and financial institutions as well, trying to understand blockchain. There are so many experts on blockchain, but, not everybody has those insights. So, you're already operating and providing these services. How helpful the blockchain can be for the financial institutions in terms of, reducing the cost, in terms of the transparency, in terms of the security?
Yeah, again, it becomes what is your strategic initiative as a bank? What are you trying to do? Are you a local bank that is looking to expand? Are you a sort of regional bank that is looking to expand out of, say, your region, whether that be just a single country, or say in Europe, you're trying to expand beyond sort of pan-Europe? Are you trying to become a global bank? And so depending on what you're trying to do, that's when it becomes important to kind of work with them around specific use cases, whether that be trade finance, whether that be payments, cross-border payments, or are you linking up with a larger bank to do greater, cross-border payments? Are you looking to solve, KYC, shared KYC issues, or just provenance from a letters of guarantee standpoint related to supply chain finance?
What is your view on the banking community specifically, which is trying to adopt blockchain through consortium? Because single bank cannot do that, because if a lot of banks comes together, then it's easy for him, and that's the whole purpose of blockchain. So what is your perspective there?
Yeah, again, early days, a lot of the banks were just trying to figure out what this technology is. Now, I would say much more the banks are coming together, specifically more so regionally to start. I think you'll see still over time the need for that those more regional networks, say in Europe, say in Asia, to try to come together. So we are seeing a lot of progress, as I mentioned, the banking consortium in Thailand and bringing together all the Thai banks. And in Europe specifically, We.Trade, which is a joint venture that operates now with 13 different countries from banks from 13 different countries, focusing on trade finance and really getting those small to medium-sized enterprises, giving them greater access to financing options.
So like you said, 13 different countries, where the blockchain has been, trying to adopt. What is the major challenge when it comes to adoption of blockchain for the financial institutions?
Yeah, a major challenge really becomes twofold, in my opinion. One is once you get past the technology and understanding that, what is the business model? Because collaboration is always very difficult, right? It's easy to have a conversation. It's very difficult then to get to what is that incentive for us to actually work together. And the second piece, very, very close to that, is the governance itself. So even though we may have a business model, how are we going to actually govern this network to make changes? We have to agree to those rules in advance so that we can then actually implement them digitally using the technology.
But what I want to also learn from you is most of the banks or the financial institutions are using blockchain specifically for the trade finance. Do you see that they're going to use the blockchain for any other products as well, or it will remain only with trade finance?
No, I think that what you're seeing is that initial use case for many people where they start to see the successes is they're building that out, which in many cases is trade finance in parts of the world. And that is just the first foray. Right? They want to get an understanding and agreement around, again, that business model, the governance, what does it mean to work with one another. But there are going to be a number of other use cases that they go tackle now as a shared community. Be that blockchain is the fundamental rails, but other technologies will come in and other solution opportunities will come together just by being together already and collaborating.
And what are those opportunities?
I think it's endless, right? I don't know that you can define it. And from a blockchain standpoint, again, you see more moving into cross-border payments. You see things around tracking from a provenance standpoint. You start to inject things like insurance from a banking standpoint coming into play. But those also all have blockchain components to it. But they also there's other technologies that will certainly be instrumental into really truly transforming all of banking together.
Can it be also used for micropayments, nano payments?
Yeah, we're starting to see some uptick in that space, particularly when you combine banking with the automotive industry. So if you're going to rent a car and you just want to stream music for an hour, like how can you instrument blockchain to help you really keep track of that hour that you were in that blue car relative to maybe you switched out your car later on, or you on a more frequent basis rent a car and it's just once every week that you want to have this micro payment of streaming music for an hour or needing GPS, for example. And those micro payments is something that we're seeing as a potential opportunity more and more.
Okay, what is on IBM's radar? What is IBM is going to do with blockchain now? What are the new plans that you have?
Yeah, so IBM from a blockchain standpoint has a strategy, a multi kind of part stack strategy. Initially, and at the foundational core is the open source itself. So open standards, open source, open governance around the Hyperledger project, which is that foundational technology. We've then instrumented an IBM blockchain platform on top of that, taking advantage and bringing in operational and governance tools, making it much easier to actually add members, change some of the business logic, agree on that. And then we've actually built some solutions ourselves, more so in the supply chain space with partnering with Maersk around trade, specific trade lens. Focusing on those shipping lanes. And then we've also built a solution with Walmart as an anchor tenant and Carrefour most recently also around food trust. Really focused in those areas. We have also some software services that we've created with Stellar, which the area being called WorldWire. And then we are working with clients in the garage and with our broader services community within IBM to build with our clients and for our clients other solutions, be that trade finance, be that other industries as well.
And my last but $1 billion question, how secure is blockchain?
Yeah, I mean, security really comes into play at various levels in the stack, whether that be the hardware, the software, the application that you're building, but making sure not only is the data privacy understood and agreed upon, and that the technology has the appropriate levels of data privacy itself, making sure your application is secure, the key management is important, and that's where it becomes not just the relevance of the software from a blockchain standpoint being secure, but also then the hardware in which you're running it on. And so from an IBM standpoint, we're fortunate to be in the business of software and hardware and infrastructure and all of that being taken care of using our capabilities.
Okay. Thank you so much, Eileen. That was really insightful information for me. Thank you so much for sharing that information.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And thank you so much for watching Fin Business.